email automation. So what is the main intention behind email? If you want to pass any message, you will send email. So that's the thing, right? Here in Blue Prism, what we are going to do is, if any bot notification, success notifications, or failure notification, or any status, or once you done something, so we need to send this as a report, as a Excel file. So then we can able to configure this email automation. If you want to work with any webmail, we have POP3 SMTP server. So this is your VBO to work with email automation. Area POP3 SMTP. So email POP3 SMTP email. Let us say email POP3 SMTP. So this one, this VBO we will use to work with email automation. Okay. Now this one, for any webmail, we are going to use any webmail. We will use this like Gmail or Yahoo or any other things. Okay, any other email you can able to use this. So email POP3 SMTP. If you are accessing Outlook in a webmail, then also you can able to do that. Okay. Now, so we'll see. So what all the options we have in this VPO. So generally we will send email to send any messages, right? We can, most of the time we can send the messages. When you are sending the messages, okay, so sometimes we need to give attachments. So this is the common thing what we are going to do. We will send the messages. When you are sending some messages, we will send some attachments is the thing. Now we will see so how to work with this email POP3 SMTP. Come to Blue Prism. If you go to the file, import, browse, go to Blue Prism where it has been installed. See program files. Blue Prism Limited, automate, VBO. Observe this email POP3 SMTP. This one we need to import. Once you imported, it's a internal VBO, Visual Business Object. Once you imported, you can able to use this. See this, it has been imported email POP3 SMTP. Once it imported, we can able to use this for email configuration. Now refresh, it's done. Now we are going to use these things. Now here the requirement is we need to send email. If you want to send email, from whom you are go from and to is required, right? From whom you are sending. So to whom, sorry, to whom you are sending, from which person you are sending, right? So you need a from and to addresses, right? Then you need username and then password, right? If you want to send some email from your email ID, they need username and password to access that particular server, and username, they need username, password. At the same time, they need server details. Server details. Then only it can able to access your email. Otherwise, it's not possible, right? Same way here, any email they need a username, password, and then server details. What is this server details? If you want to log in with Gmail account, what we are going to do? You are going to click on a gmail.com, right? But here your Blue Prism accessing your Gmail server. From your Gmail server, directly it is sending your emails without any interaction of you. No need to do any interaction from your side. So no need to do anything from your side. Automatically it is logging into the server. It will access your email, and then it will send email from your email ID. Okay. Now we'll see that how to implement this particular thing. First, if you want to access any webmail, any email, the railway security reasons will be, security things will be there, right? If you want to access that, we need to disable the security levels, then only we can able to access. Otherwise it is not possible. When you are automating any bank portal also, we need to disable the security levels from their side, then only they can able to access. The same way here, I will open my email ID. I will show you what are the security levels we need to disable here when we are working with a Gmail account. So what you need to do is go to accounts. Here, sign in security and settings we have, right? Go here, and if you observe somewhere in the down, allow low secured apps will be there. See this? Allow low secured apps. By default, it will be off. You have to on this. You have to on this. Then only your email POP3 server can able to access this email when you are giving configuration. So this is the security level. So you have to on this, then other third-party tool can able to access your email. That's the meaning of this. Allow low secure apps, and you have to do this. So once it is done, so you can able to send emails, you can able to receive any emails through Prism. Now here, do you have any emails today? Nothing, right? Today we don't have any emails. 16th, we don't have anything. Now we will try to send emails. Okay. Now just observe what are the options we have in this email. We will create a new process. Email process. Next, finish. It's created. Observe this. Start. End. Action will be double click. So business object name, email, POP3 SMTP. Good. Observe this first option is configure. We need to configure. Okay. Here we know username and password. But what about these server details? Most of the time it will be configured by your admin. So if it is not configured by your admin, so what you have to do is, if you can able to know all these things, see this what it says: POP3 server details, SMTP server details, POP3 port, SMTP port, POP3 use SSL. Go to Google, search in Google like Gmail server configuration details. Observe this. See this: smtp@gmail.com, smtp host. So POP3 host, POP3 port number. So this is the POP3. So this is your SMTP, and then port number 587. This port number 995, and then so POP3 host inscription it should be so true. TSL on. TSL should be on. It means nothing but a true. Port TSL port protocol will be on. It is nothing but a true. Understood, right? These same things, so you can search for anything, so Yahoo or whatever it will be, any email. Observe the same thing I captured here: POP3 server, POP3 Gmail details, and then POP3 port number, SMTP port true, and then true for POP3 user on. It should be on, right? That's why true, false, so both the things. Now the same details we will give it here. Just copy, come to this walkthrough. Later we will give username and password. Now this is the details. Okay. Now so POP3 port number and then SMTP port 995587 995 and then 587. These two things will be true, right? True and true. Okay, good. So now, so I mentioned everything. What about the username and password? Username we can type, right? Username we can type here. But what about the password? Can you able to type here? If I type something, it can be visible. Then how to handle this? Username and password. If you remember, in a data item, we have a data type called password. See this? We can use this. We can use this as a password. Give it as a password, and then if you type anything here, can you able to view anything? No, because this is a password. You can use this there. So username we have given. Again, I will take it as a sorry, password we have done. So username. Username also we will create it here. Username is a, we will take it as a text. We have given some username. Okay. Now we have username and password. You can give this username and password here. Observe this, username and password. Both the things it's available now. Now username and password. With this username and password, with this server details, it will access your email. Once it accesses your email, then what you need to do? You need to send some message, right? Most of the time that's the thing what we are going to do. Send. Send. Now come to the business object POP3. Observe this. Send message. Now what it is asking, from address to address, subject, body. Like when you are sending an email, what all the things it will be there. You are going to so fill the from address. After that, so when you access your email, so that is your address. And then so to whom you need to send, right? And then you will give the subject. What is the subject? And then what is the content, right? That is a body. Same way here. So can I send email from same email ID to same email, right? We can able to do that. Same email ID, same email we can able to same person, right? We can able to do that. So that's why I'm using both the things as a same username from one to. After that, subject. What is the subject? Okay. So we'll give hello. Given and then body, what you need. This is this email coming from your bot email option. Email option okay, done. Now click OK. Now give the link. Reset. Now try to run this. We have configured everything and then we are trying to run. It's trying to send. It says that unable to connect to the server. We'll see that what was the issue. It's connected, but here, so let me check the username and password. It is. Okay. Reset. Let me try again. So first one it configure. So next one it is sending the email. It is taking some time. So, so it should be 587 something. 587 instead of 587 given something 995 and 587. Now reset, try to, so, yeah, now it has executed. Now come to your email process from here. Observe this time now. So at this time, so now we receive the email. This email is coming from the one. So what is the subject? Hello, Dr. Sir. We have given the subject name, right? So now, so do you have any attachments here? No, we didn't send any attachments. Remember, if you said that in interview, for example, so yes, I have so worked with so email PUBG SMTP. I worked with the email configuration, so email automation. Then immediately they will ask, so how you are going to send the attachments to email through email? How you are going to send attachments? So just remember that one thing, when you are sending attachments, always you need to take a help of collection. Collection. I have to tell, so through the collection, I have sent attachments. Why we need a collections here? For example, we can use a data items also. Attachment, where it will be available? It will be available in a path, right? This specific path you need to mention. Then we need a data item. Okay, for example, if it is one attachment, you can go with a data item to give the path. If you have multiple attachments, then if you want to do multiple attachments, is it possible in a data item? No. That's why collection. That's why we have to use a collection. That's the so purpose of collection, why we are using when you are sending the emails, when you are configuring emails, always we have to use collection. So when you are sending attachments. Now come to here, process, observe this, send email. What you can able to see here, attachments. By default it has given us a collection. It is asking collection, give me the collection where you have a attachments. For that we are going to create a collection. Double click on the collection. Observe this, you have a option called import field. Click on that. You can go for this part 3. What you are doing, send and attachments you required. So it means nothing but a path, right? Text. It will create a field. Field name it has been created. Here you need to give the path. For that you need to give the path, field name and the initial value, right? If you want you can so create manually also. Field name and initial value. Field name we have as a text it has taken, description it is taken to send the attachments in an email. Initial value you need to give the path. Come to desktop. I need to send the same, the Gmail configuration, this file as a attachment. Take this path, come here, give this. That's it. Okay, for path no need to give double quotes. Now we have given a path here. Now from this path it will take the particular file and then it will send email. Just observe. Okay. Now we are sending again. Okay, it seems it's sent. Observe this email and then it's not taken as an attachment. Why? See this empty. Collection variant assigned. Collection assign this. Click OK. Now again reset. Now run this. Observe this now. Yeah. Now we have an attachment here. In this email, if you observe, see this Gmail attachment. Gmail configuration details as a attachment. We send it to this email. So like this, we can able to send emails. Okay, most of the time we will use to send emails, and when you are sending emails, we are going to send the attachments like a status reports or whatever it may be. Okay, that's fine. Here, one question for you. When you are sending the email, we are giving the username and passwords here, right? We are giving username and password. So when you are working with this, if you know the username and password, then only you can able to so configure this, create the data items as a username and password. You can give it to the so this details, configure details, right? But assume that in a team, for example, assume that 10 persons is working in a development. All the 10 persons has to work with some bank portal or some automating the bank portal or whatever it may be. When they are trying to automate the bank portal, they need to log in. If they want to log in, everyone need their username and password, right? Then what we are going to do, everyone has to know the username and password, then only they can able to access. This is the valid scenario that everyone, so if you give the username and password, it should not be, right? We should not give username and password to each and everyone. If it is a secured one, so we should not give it. So for example, 5 persons is working, no need to give the username and password to each and everyone. Then so how to handle this situation, right? We have a concept called, have you heard about global variable concept? In any programming language, the same way we have a environmental variable concept we have. When you are working with environmental variable concept, it should behave like a global variable. Once you create environmental variable, it can be accessed by any of your users and any of your process n number of times. It's like reusable. You created username password there, and then everyone can able to use that. Everyone can able to use that. And one more thing, environmental variable you can't able to edit. You cannot able to edit. You created a password as an environmental variable, but you can't able to edit. You can able to use. You doesn't know what is the password, but you can able to use that. You can't able to edit your environmental variable. Okay. Now, once you created the environmental variable, you are going to create this environmental variable in system manager, system manager or system tab. Once you create that in a system manager, you can able to use it in your processes by using, we have an option called exposure, exposure to data item. You need to exposure in a data item. You need to enable that option exposure in your data item. Then only we can able to use that environmental variable exposure in data item. Once it is created in system manager, if you want to use that in a process, then we need to enable this property exposure to exposure for data exposure in a data item. Once it is done, then whatever the value you created in a environmental variable, it will be assigned to this data item. It will be assigned to this data item. So now we will see that how to do that. And one more thing before this, we have an option called local variable. What it mean by that local variable? It's nothing but here inside the process what we created, this username and password and collections, username and password, these are the local variables. It means only for this process we can able to use. You can't able to use this thing to some other process. That's the meaning of this local variable. And here coming to this local variable value, you can't able to assign it to environmental variable because environmental variable is non-editable. At the same time, environmental variable value you can assign to local variable. This is possible because that is local variable. You can give any value. You can pass any value. Environmental variable value you can pass it to local variable. But the thing is local variable, so you can't able to assign it to environmental variable because environmental variable is non-editable. You can't able to edit environmental variable. Once it is created, you can't able to edit that in any of your process. Now just we'll check. So how to do that? Now how to create a environmental variable? We will see that. Now save this process. Go to Blue Prism. Go to System Series. System. Here environmental variable. And one more thing, remember, in a process we have environmental variable. In a object also you have environmental variable. Process and object, both the places. So no need to create in the both the places. If you create it in one place, if you create it in one place, it will be accessible in your both the places, in object as well as in process. Object as well as in process, it can be accessible. Okay. For example, we are creating in a process. Observe this add variable. Now what it is asking, I need any value, username, and then data type. If you want password also, you can do that. So just I will give, otherwise I will give the value as env, environmental variable, and then you can give anything, number or password, whatever it may be. Okay, just I will take some number, value, description you can give something, extra number, whatever it may be, give the some value here. What happened to this? Some value I have given. This one is not required. Okay, now we have a variable, environmental variable we created. Now just apply this. Apply. Where we created this environmental variable in a process, right? Now if you go to object, observe this. The same environmental variable you can able to see it here, right? Same value, environmental variable here also we have. Now from this, we have to use this environmental variable in your process. You can use this environmental variable in n number of processes. There is no limit. There is no restriction. Observe this. So we will create a new process. Environmental variable process. We created. Double click. Now we need to use those value. Use that value. Data item. Double click. Observe this what we discussed. So we need to exposure. We need to implement exposure offset to environment. See this environment. What it says. It will pick the environmental variable value from your system manager. Whatever the value you have given there, from there it will pick. So no need to do anything. See this environment. The name environment. What is the value it has taken? Some value. Observe this. I am trying to type. Can you able to edit? No. It's not possible because environmental variable is non-editable. See this? When you give the initial value, it is taking by default current value also. During the runtime, the current value will generate, right? But here what is happening? During the runtime also it will take the same value. We are not going to pass any values to environment. It's not possible. It's not editable. That's why it is saying that. Now click OK. Now this is the environmental variable value. For example, so we'll see how to work with environmental variable. We need to assign it to local variable. Go to data item, again another data item. This one, let's take it as local. Let it be data type. Give the data type as a number, right? That is number. Don't give any values. Let it be. Now we need to assign this environmental variable to local variable. That is possible. But if you try to assign local value to environmental variable, that is not possible. You can now observe this. How to do that? Use calculation. Give the link. Double click on calculation. Now environmental variable value, you need to assign it to local variable. That's it. Now just click OK. Now if you run, whatever the value we have environmental variable, that value will come to local variable. See this, it came, right? Now if you try to do it in reverse, local variable value to environmental variable value, it's not possible. Click OK. Now try to run. It's showing error. It will show you, see this, cannot set the value to environmental variable value. It's not possible because it's non-editable. You can't able to do that. So that's why So we can say that environmental variable value you can assign it to local, but not local variable to environmental variable. Okay, this is the concept of this. Okay, one more question here. Okay, once you created environmental variable, everyone can able to access, right? In every process it can be accessible, but is it the secured one? Again, in your team everyone can able to access the username and password, then it's not secured, right? We need to restrict to specific process. We need to restrict to specific persons. Most of the time when you are working with a username and password, we will not go with environmental variable. Other than any things, other than username and password, we will go with environmental variable. But remember, username and password always we have to go for credentials. We have to work with credentials. This is a very important thing. Always in interviews also, if they ask, for example, I have some username and password, it has to be given to multiple process. It has to so given access to multiple persons. Then how to do that? Don't say that it's a environmental variable concept. So it should be credentials. If anyone says that is a username and password, must and should it should be given in a credentials. It should be created in a credentials blindly. Other than any username and password, you can go for environmental variables. But username and password must and should it should be in credentials, because you can restrict that username password for specific process, specific bot, specific person, specific environment. We can able to restrict. That's the thing. So now just observe. So we'll see that. So how to work with a credential. First, what we need to do is we need to create credential key. Credential key. Once you create a credential key, it will generate some random number. This number will be saved in database, and credential is internal business object. Internal business object. So this internal business object no need to import. This is not a VBOS, it's already inbuilt. No need to import separately. They say credential is internal business object. When you are accessing this credential internal business object, it will check the database. It will check the database. It will go to database and it will check. So, do you have credentials key for this credential or not? Yes. If it is having, then it will go inside and then it will check. So, to whom we have permissions, to which process we have permissions, to which person you have permissions, so to which environment you have permissions. It will check all the validations. If it is done, then it will give you username and password in that particular process. Otherwise it will not give. That's the main intention behind creating credentials in a database. It will save in a database. From the database you are going to access when you are working with a credentials business object. When you are creating, first we need to create a credential key. After that we need to create credentials. Create credentials. Once you created the credentials, for example, username and password you created. For this username and password, once you create, you need to give permissions or access rights. Access rights. We need to give. What it means by that? For which process you can give access. For which user you can give. Is it for admin or is it for developer or is it for whom? And then for each environment. Environment is nothing but, don't get confused, server. For which server you need to give access. This credential, is it for development only, is it for testing, or is it for production? It will be like that. Now if you observe here in your blue prism, let me save this one. saved. Go to the Prism System Manager. You have an option called observe this credential, right? These are credentials. The option where you can able to work with credential, where you can able to create. Now observe this. What it says? Credential key create it. It will ask any value, give any value, and then generate. It will generate some random number. Observe this. It's generated. And then what it is asking? Save to database. Just click on that. The credential key is saved on the database. First, when you are accessing credentials business object, internal business object, it will check credential key is available or not. Yes, credential key is available. Then only you can able to access. Otherwise, you can't able to access. Now credential key is available. Then we need to create a credential key. Now here, name. I given the name as CRED. Remember this name. Observe this. Directly it is giving username and password. Give me the username and password. I will give something right. This is my username, for example, and then password will be something I have given. Okay. And now observe this next. What it says? Access rights. Right? Access rights. Process, resource, and roles. Right? To whom we need to give process. Here the process I will restrict to only one process, environmental variable. This one, process, resource, everyone, role, also everyone. If you want to restrict, you can give it restricted to any specific one. So now, so we restricted to only one process, right? Only one process we created, and then just come here. Once it is created, now come to the studio. Here, which one we have given? This one, right? Let me create a new one, page one. Let it be. We need to access the credential is internal business object. So go to the actions, double click, observe the business object name. See this internal business object credential, right? Click on that. So what you need to do that here? I need to get that value. Sorry, I need to get so username and password. So get observe the output username and password. Input. What is the input? It is asking. Give me the credential name. We have given here. We given the name as CRED. This is the credential name which we created, and then it will access that credential, and then it will pick from there username and then password. Before getting the username and password here, it will check for this credential, do you have accesses or not in the database. It will be saved with a key name. With that key name, it will check in a database this user or this process is having a access or not. Yes, if they are having the access, then only it will display it here. Otherwise, you can't able to use this credential. No one can able to use other than this process, other than these resources. Okay, so now just run this and then observe. Sorry, so we are in page one, right? We need to run page one. Set next stage and run. Observe that username this way. That username and password came, right? Then you can able to use this username and password in this process. How you have picked this username and password? You picked it through credentials. Not everyone can able to access this. Not every process. Only restricted process. Only specific processes can able to access this. Now, if you observe here, just reset. Okay, we'll go to another process and then we'll see that. Say this one. I will try to do that in email. Create a new page. Page one. Now same thing. Action. already is a business object. Go to the internal business object, credential, go to get, give the same name, credential, come to the output, generate password, username, let it be. Now the same thing we are doing here also. Username, password we require from that particular reset. Run this. Now observe this. Okay, the same mistake, sorry. From here, we need to run it from here. Set next stage. Now run this. Observe the error. Right click. Set next stage. Run. Observe the error. What it says, you don't have permission to access the credentials. So because we didn't given the permission to this process, we given permission to only that specific process, right? So like this, we can able to restrict that credentials, username and password to any specific process, for any specific person, for any specific user also. This is nothing but credentials. It is clear. So remember, most of the time username and password must and should it has to be with a credentials only. Other than username and password, if they want to access in n number of process, then we can go for environmental variables. Okay, if you want to use environmental variables, then we need to use a option called in a data item, expose the data item to environment. Then only you can able to get the values from environment. It's not editable. Okay, is it clear? This one. So how to work with the environment, how to work with a credentials, how to work with email, configuration. This is the thing. You can try with any others also, Yahoo or whatever it may be. Okay, so try this and then try to work with the environmental label. So any questions in this class?
Not Dinesh.